Hi, everybody. My name is Lynn McKenzie, and I just want to thank Sandy Johnson for just inviting me to come and be a part of Second Chance Cowgirl Ministry. Man, sometimes we need a third one and a fourth one, don't we? But to share the word today, since it's my first time, I really want to just share some verses that are just some of my utmost favorite verses. I love to read these. I love the message that they bring, and so I'm hoping you'll enjoy it too. In John 1, verse 1, John starts off with, "In the beginning." Okay, in the beginning. Just to kind of preface that term, one time Murray had a vision, and so he was standing at the throne of grace, and he was just so in awe. He said, "I was just standing there, Lynn, and I was just looking around, and it was beautiful, and it was vast, and it was just awesome." And as I was looking around, to my left, kind of down in the corner, was a little capsule. It looked like a capsule, and it had a hole in both ends, a long capsule with holes in both ends. And I looked down there at that capsule, and I asked the Father, I said, "What is that?" And he said, "That's where you came from. That's time." And he said as he watched at the kind of the threshold of the capsule, he could see, life going in, and sometimes that life would carry all the way to the other end and then exit, and sometimes life would go in the entrance to that capsule and it would exit before it got to the end, as if people had passed away before they had lived their total life. And so in the beginning, before time, before we were really ever imagined or thought of, before that capsule appeared in the universe called time, in the beginning was the Word. And that word in the Greek there is logos. And logos is the spoken word. And we know how the earth was formed, and God said. And his words were just so very powerful that they went right out of his mouth and created the very thing that he spoke. Let there be light. And there was light. And there was a big bang when it all happened. I mean, I don't know, but it's amazing when you think that spoken logos had so much power to perform that for which it was sent. It was sent to perform a certain task, and that's really what happened. It performed the task that it was sent for. So in the beginning was the Word. It was what was given to perform the task. And the Word was with God. It came right out of his mouth. So the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Oh my goodness. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? The Word was God. It was with God, that logos, that power, that when it came out of his mouth to perform, and the power to create that for which it was sent. And in verse 2, he goes on to kind of reiterate verse 1. He said, "The same was in the beginning with God." So from the very beginning, this logos, the word tells us now that the logos is Jesus. He is the Word. He is God. He was with God. It says in Genesis that nothing was created without him. So in the very beginning, Jesus was that word that went right out of his mouth. He was the creative. God spoke it. He was the power. I believe the Holy Spirit hovered and created those things. And, today, in today's world, words just fly. Sometimes they just fly right out of our mouth, and we don't really think about the power of our own words to create our own future. But I know I've had girls that come, and they're all the time talking about this dumb horse, this stupid horse, this and this that, and then they're criticizing themselves. And I tell them all the time, you'll never possess what you talk against, because the power of your word to perform that for which it was sent, that word, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. It can still create today whatever comes out of our mouth. And we don't realize it. I mean, get on Facebook and realize how the critical spirit that is in the earth today. Because you know what? That critical spirit sets our limits, it sets our boundaries, it sets us up for failure. We're never going to possess what we talk against. The very animal that you really want to possess when you come down that alleyway, that very essence of who he is, giving you that 110% that you're going to need out of him that day. And you've been out there calling him names and jerking on him and spurring him and calling him all kinds of things. We do that with people. We jerk people around. We use our mouth. We use our anger to control people. Oh my goodness. How is it that we just cannot get a handle on these words? Because he goes on to say in verse 3, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So Jesus was at the heart of all that was made. He might have not have been manifested in a body like he was when he came to earth. I mean, it took an immaculate conception to get him from the heart of God into a human body. It took probably several miracles, some of which we're aware of and some maybe we're not aware of. But it was all about Jesus from the very beginning. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. There wasn't anything made on this earth that wasn't made without him, that Word coming out and being involved. And now we find ourselves in time. And as time compresses and we get down to the end of time, I think it's going to be more and more, the world is going to look at Christians and go, do you really believe that? Do you really believe what that Bible says? When the doctor goes, you're sitting in there waiting for his report, and he comes in and he slips up an x-ray and he goes, you see that spot right there? What are you going to say? What is the logos that's going to come out of your mouth? Because there's going to be power in it, whatever is said over that report or any other report that you might get. And so, verse 4, in him was life. In that word was life, and the light was the light of men. Oh my goodness. So when we need something to be illuminated, when we need something we need to understand it more, when we need to gain knowledge and understanding and wisdom, knowledge is just facts. Understanding is being able to understand and put together those facts. And wisdom is absolutely how to use that knowledge and that understanding. How do I use knowledge and understanding to gain wisdom? Well, not when it just kind of spews out of our mouth and we don't think about the things that we're saying. That is like, oh my goodness. And it says in verse 5, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Or we could say, The darkness cannot defeat it. And so I just want to speak that into you today, that as we watch the news, as we see what's being played out, as we hear the reports, I want you to think about those words that have been spoken, that once it was written down, it's called Rhema, the Rhema word. Take your Rhema word and put some logos to it and speak into some things. Speak into your situations. Speak into your own health. If this was me here, I'm not denying a fact. It's a fact. The doctor's pointing to something. But here would be my report of that. The doctor says that there's something, but you know what? I believe 1 Peter 2:24, by his stripes I am healed, and I am sticking to it. I'm not going to just negate the fact, but I am going to let the word kind of have the final say to it. So no matter what we're facing, no matter what it looks like in this earth, we have to really realize the word has the final say to it. And if you go and read that last page, it says we win. We win. So we don't have to get caught up in all that stuff. It's just drama. It's just trying to make wrong things come out of people's mouth, get their mind all stirred up, get it off the word, get it away from the Bible. You know, I don't really want to go to a revival. I want to be the revival. Don't you? Well, we love you today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope this has blessed you.